31/32. I'm finding it difficult to feel the same about my husband after learning about his past. We have been together 2 years now and were married recently. Lying is a very sore spot for me. I was in a pretty horrendous, as with a narcissist, where I was pitted against his exes, lied to and spun in circles, and cheated on with his exes. I feel it was a specific circumstance, because I've never had these issues previously. My husband knows about this. My issues with my husband began when he lied to me about a friend of his that he was close to. I later came to find out that she was an ex of his. He'd been deleting conversations to her, etc. Well, the fact he didn't tell me automatically had my back up. If it's an innocent friendship now, why lie and hide? Here's where I think I did wrong. I asked him to just be open and honest about his relationships. There was a lot more lying involved over a few months about his past relationships. I guess he had no obligation to tell me about his past, but he just kept lying about it all. It was honestly pretty painful when all I wanted was straight-up honesty. It felt like there were loopholes and lies and all too familiar. Well, eventually he told me all, and it was pretty too. He told me how he'd essentially led all of his previous girlfriends on for sex, leading them to believe it was more serious than it was. They could have been anyone. He just wanted the sex and then liked them enough to continue. He said he wasn't in love with them, but made out he was. He told me he wanted to sleep with other people, even when he was with them, and managed to do so once. He told me how he pushed really hard to sleep with women to the point of desperation. He even got a bit upset about it because he said he was a sleazebag. He told me he used to be quite crude and full on when he thought he had a chance. I know people do bad shit in their past, and truth is he can be sexual with me too. But he always made out like he wasn't really like that. He just had normal relationships, other stuff going on, etc. He made out I was somehow special for being the first girl he wanted that much and was that forward with. Clearly another lie. He'd always told me he'd never been this interested in others, and went for women he thought he had a chance with. None of this I was a desperate sleazebag stuff, and perhaps I was naive, but I was taken by it and flattered. I just can't help but completely change my view about him, from a sweet man to one that openly leads women into long-term relationships for sex, that describes himself as a sleazebag and makes it his mission to sleep with women. It shouldn't bother me, but it does. If I knew this about him, I think it would have alerted me earlier. After all, how can I trust him with me when he has this pattern? Sure, he's put the ring on my finger, but is he still thinking of sleeping with other women? And why does it make me feel so uneasy thinking of the efforts he went to sleep with women when it was before me? These are women he's still in contact with too. I hate feeling like this. I feel so awkward around him, and it's really affecting our relationship. I know it's my own fault for digging, but I feel annoyed that he lied to me as well. I don't know what to do. Too long, Red husband opened up to me about his past after lying a lot about it. It's my own fault for asking, but now I feel uncomfortable that I don't actually like him as a person knowing what he has done. I know people do bad shit in their past, so is this really about the past? If he was just using how the ex he is lying about and deleting, and it's innocent, and he doesn't care about her, why is he even still in contact with? You are experiencing trickle truth along with the poor me, I'm such a bad guy plea for sympathy, to get you to just leave it alone. It's not your fault for asking. How can you trust him? Ask him what you're gonna do, buddy, to rebuild this trust, and maybe ask him that in the presence of your marriage counselor. Also, being that aggressive and begging and pleading for sex is not attractive, and I would say that is a red flag to me, desperate. There's no reason you have to feel the same way about him. He presented a false image of who he was. You married the image of a good person, and now you are learning that you actually married is a manipulative lie. One especially telling bit in all this is that I don't hear any real remorse on his part, except that he maybe feels bad for being a bad guy. That sounds more like self-pity than anything. Another thing is that there is no apparent turning point. Why did he suddenly decide to be a good guy, if in fact he is? Is he implying that he was a horn dog who used people for sex and then, loving you, made him turn himself around? Because that is unlikely, considering that he still lied to you in the most self-serving way. I'm not saying that he's unforgivable, unlovable, or definitely still someone not worthy of you, but it's on the table as a possibility in a way that it wasn't before, that you might not want him. You're not required to extend him trust or absolution just because he asks for it. If you want to continue this relationship, you'll have to establish strong boundaries and stated expectations, and keep your eyes open.